What is going on, guys? We're back with another Gekishin Squadra video, but we're not playing the game this time, alright? This time, I think it's time, you and I, face to face, we had a little talk about the current state of Gekishin Squadra. So, what, I guess, prompted me to make this video, I think the main thing that prompted me to make this video is the patch notes, which we will get into later, but I think, starting, like, last season, and then just going all the way from to now, I think like the game I think is kind of just been in a decline. I guess ever since season 4 started, the game has kind of been in a decline, and truthfully, I don't think season 5 is doing too much to help with that. I guess our first starting point, I guess we can start on, and something I think that started back in season. Damn, actually. I guess season 2, technically, is the divine draws. I think is what we need to really start on. Well, let's first talk about the divine draws. So, season 1, or I guess, first of all, every season that we've had in Gekishin Squadra, we've had a bad divine draw. Every season, there's always been at least one outlier that whenever you get in a game, you just sigh. You sigh. Season 1, we obviously, or I guess Season 0 and Season 1, we had the EXL Juniors. We're all aware of that. I think the second worst Divine Draw in the game. Season 2, we had Medical Respawn in their prime. We had Prime Med Respawn, which we all know how bad that was and how Mickey Mouse that was. Season 3, I believe we still had Prime Med Respawns in there. I can't exactly, I'm going to pull this up while I'm talking, but season 3, I think is probably the least offender, I think, of this. I'm not, not entirely sure. Sparkling Stardust was really annoying. So Stardust was somewhat annoying. It was not nearly as bad as, like, other Divine Draws that we have had, right? I'm trying to just find out right now. I'm looking at the Squadra talks here. I'm gonna take a quick little peek here and see what the divine draws were. We had Vanished cooldown. So in season 3, our 3 new divine draws were Vanished cooldown reduction. This cooldown mystery HP is what it was. That mystery HP was added in season 3, which rhymes, by the way. So okay, season 3 it was mystery HP. Season 4. I think is where we got the worst divine draw I think the game has ever seen. And I'm gonna be honest, I didn't think there was anything they could have dropped that was worse than EXO Juniors, but somehow they managed to do it in Hammers. Hammers, like I'll just do like I'll go into small detail. I don't want this to be a too long of a video, but basically Hammers, you would basically run Super Saiyan Goku and Kid Gohan. You would grab a hammer using the Metallic Helper. You would grab a hammer, thanks to Metallic, and then you just rush down the tower with the hammers with Kid Goku and Kid Gohan and Super Saiyan Goku, and the hammer and the tower would basically just disintegrate and die. Right? Is basically just what it was. And it got so bad to the point where people were actually just dodging hammers. Like season 4. I don't think there's ever been a season where there's been more dodges than season 4, and it's really all thanks to one single divine draw that made the game so unfun and unplayable to the point where people didn't even want to play the game, which is a big issue that we've had. Right, so yeah, the divine draws, I think we've got to get like to work on these divine draws like ASAP. Because otherwise, like, it's gonna be rough, man. It's gonna be rough. I guess my next talking point, for season, I guess, because I'm trying to make this more of a season 5-esque focus video, but, more of the current state of Squadra, more than, like, previous seasons. But this season, we had a double dip in OG Dragon Ball. Now, before I get crucified and talk about how I'm a LARPer and that, like, that I hate OG Dragon Ball, and all that stuff like that. I just want to say that I think having OG Dragon Ball, I think is perfectly fine. I see zero issue with having OG Dragon Ball in the game. I am extremely happy that Kid Goku and Bulma are getting reps in the game. My issue lies in the fact that they're both coming in the same season back to back. And the fact that Bulma is ending the season, right? I think the reason this is an issue is, while I do agree, I've seen this point made several times. I completely agree in the fact that we should not have like constant like super character hype, like super omega hype characters. I don't think we should have another season like season 3. I really don't think so. I don't think we should have another Vegito Bardock Kefla season. I don't think we should have that. I think having seasons early on in the game's lifespan to where we're just constantly pumping out all the hype and fucking pumping them all out at once. I think that is a mistake. I think it is very good that we are getting OG Dragon Ball reps in the game. My issue again lies in the fact that they are back to back in the in the they're back to back while the game is in the current state that it's in. The game right now is in a state where we need new players, right? Everybody talks about Squadra's dead, blah, 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 right? And while I do think the game does not have as much players that it should be, the game isn't necessarily dead, because, we still have lower ranked players. Sure, the higher ranks are going to be, dead, but the lower ranks are still somewhat full, right? So, the game is not completely dead, right? And, Battle Hour, I think, was very good exposure for the game. I do think so, a lot. I also think being able to try out a new character early at Battle Hour, I think was also very, very good, for the game as well. I thought that was I think that's very good as well. But yeah, I think that's just, I think character choices could be a little bit better. I think if we had Frieza to start, Kid Goku, and then Goku Black to end, I think that would be good, right? My next talking point, that I'm gonna talk about is the balance changes in the game currently. There are several balances and several patches that have gone by where we as a community have been asking for certain characters to get buffs. Being, example, Krillin. Me personally, Kill. I don't know who else is asking for kill buffs, but I'm asking for kill buffs. Tail. Baby was also, a character who people asked for buffs. Baby eventually got them. I think Baby is actually pretty good right now. Who else? Broly, I think, needs buffs. Broly needs buffs. Cell needs buffs. 18 needs buffs. Gotenks need buffs. Granted, he got them. I don't know how good they are. I'll need to test them out. Topo needs buffs. Granted, he got them. I don't know how good they are. I need to try them out. But I think you'll see that several characters here. Oh, Deborah, another one. Deborah is another one. Zamasu is another one. First Form Frieza, another one. Who we've been asking for these characters to get buffs. And I don't know if you guys saw it in the bottom left when Vegeta, typed it in chat. But what it seems like they're doing is it seems like they're having this, the lower ranked players kind of dictate how they do and go about these balance changes. And I personally do not think that is what they should be doing. I think that is a mistake. Because this leads to characters, there was a season where I'm pretty sure we got an 18 nerf. And I'm sure, the character that's the main victim, I think, of this is Gotenks. Gotenks back in Season 1 when he first dropped, I thought was very good as a technical character. He was not toxic. He was just very good. He wasn't weak. He felt good. But for some reason, I think, the lower ranks, I think they were getting stomped by Gotenks and complaining to the point where the devs felt the need to nerf characters like Gotenks. and like and character Go takes 18, right? Even like I think first form Frieza I think was probably fine, right? But again, I just think that's like lack of, you know, communication and listening from the devs. I again, I just don't really understand, um, you know, some of the thought process behind balance changings. And another point to go across with balances is we'll move over to the patch notes that we got here. Is that some characters are just I actually don't need to be here. Some characters are just overtuned, and I'm sure we all know the biggest offenders of this, that being God Goku and Super Saiyan 3 Goku. Super Saiyan 3 Goku saw more play in the later halves of Season 4. I think probably once like Kid Buu dropped, I think it's probably when we started seeing the Super Saiyan 3 rise again. And I think in Season 5, when they brought back Skill 1 damage and they brought Healing Attack back, I think Super Saiyan 3 just got super buffed, and he's easily, I think, like, number 2 or number 1 DPS. Like, it really is crazy to me just how overtuned some of these characters are. And we've asked for nerfs for these characters. I think, again, the main defender of that is actually Godku, to the point, like, Godku, is a character who we needed nerfs for him ever since, like, he dropped, basically. God Goku had absolutely zero reason to get buffed whatsoever. I believe he got buffed either when Kid Buu dropped. I think it was when Kid Buu dropped, is when he got buffed. But, like, God Goku is a defender of, like, he just does way too much damage. He has a universal ult. His skill 3, his skill 1 when buffed with skill 3 is nuts. His passive is way too easy to fill. Right? And I think the reason I think Goku got buffed is because when he first released, people just did not know how to use him, man. Like, they genuinely just did not know how to use him. They would go in, right, with a ranged character, when in reality, Goku is an expert at just staying back, playing his range, not letting the enemy get to you, and just, you know, getting your snowball stacks. And, you know, just essentially just snowballing through the enemy team, right? God Goku definitely, he takes a little bit of skill and positioning knowledge, but in reality, you can really just sit back, press your skill 2 and 3, and, like, you just use your skills, and the enemy team kind of just dies. And his passive just gives you those skills back. Like, he just gets his skills back, and you can just, like, his skill 2 can last for way, way too long, man. It really is crazy, man, just how overtuned characters like Goku are. And there are other offenders to this, too. Like, Ultan was way overtuned. Kid Buu was, I think, a little overtuned. I mean, probably way too overtuned, but I mean, Kid Buu was, like, way too good. Gogeta, I think, was overtuned. Characters like that, I just think, way, way too good. Even Super Saiyan 3 on release, you can argue. And maybe even Bardock and Kefla. Like, this game recently has been just having an issue of, like, okay, Super Saiyan 3 Goku busted on release. Gotenks, he was good on release. Topo, not that good. God Vegeta, very good. Ultan, very good. Broly, kind of stunk. Vegito, very good. Bardock, God. Kefla, God. Frieza, I think, is not broken. Not overtuned. I think Frieza is very good, but I think he's very good. Kid Goku, I still need to see more of. I think Kid Goku's from what I know of right now, Kid Goku doesn't really seem too toxic or, you know, busted or, you know, overtuned, right? But I think I need to use him a little bit more. But I think Kid Goku actually, I think, is right now fine from what I understand. But we'll see as time goes on. But again, I think that's my gripe with that. I think we'll talk about, let me see, let me look at my thing here. The current patch notes, I think now we could probably get a little more into talking about this. And it's also the segue to my next talking points. Lack of communication with players. So okay, this patch note is the biggest issue. Like it also just showcases the biggest issue that devs have. They're not listening to the players, right? They're not listening. This Frieza buff, pointless. Toba buff, I need to see, right? Go Tanks buff, sure. Tau buff, I have yet to use it, but I'm hearing Tau is like super duper crazy and like busted now, right? I still need to use these. I'm not sure how good this is gonna be, but I think for the most part, I think the biggest issue right now with this is that there's a lack of communication and there's just a bunch of pointless buffs and nerfs. It's all pointless, right? Like there was no reason to buff Stratoscape, no reason to buff Prepare to Die. I mean, I guess Prepare to Die, you could make an argument for needing the buff. Auto Decoy, if you want to give it a slight buff, sure. Backstab, I don't really think he needed a nerf. I think this is kind of pointless, I'm going to be honest. Daima Goku, I'm not going to lie. I have a little bit of a vendetta against the devs for nerfing Daima Goku in the way that they did. Because the first nerf they gave him, like, you know, posts, like, the Season 3 nerfs, I think, or Season 3 buffs, sorry, he got, I think was perfectly fine. This just felt unnecessary. I don't think there was, I think you could have, I don't know, man. You could have maybe nerfed his fucking speed a little bit more. I think this is crazy. Pansy Bomb, this is pointless. This, I didn't really feel the impact of this. I don't know why. This, actually, no. Sorry. This right here is the stupidest nerf I think I have ever done in the history of the game. I am sorry. What was the issue with Caulifla? Caulifla was one of the only tanks that could keep Super Saiyan 3 and Godku in check. She was one of the only tanks, if not the only tank, that could actually keep the biggest problems in the game in check. Why did I go here? That's not what I wanted to click. She is the only tank that could have done that. They decided, for whatever reason, to nerf her ult. It doesn't make any sense to me. This makes zero sense to me. Why? It just doesn't make sense. Like, let me go back here. What they did is they increased the damage on it, but they increased the cooldown to 80 seconds. If you want to increase it to 60, sure, whatever. To 80? For it being 20 seconds shorter than the fucking God's ult, to work it, like, it's a universal ult that you can just ult across the fucking map, and Gogeta can stun and, like, teleport there. I think it's just utterly ridiculous. It makes negative sense, and I think it just shows the lack of communication and lack of listening that they're doing to us. It genuinely just doesn't make any sense why they decided to nerf Caulifla in the way they did. It just doesn't, man. Okay, next, we're nearing the end of the video. The next, I guess, talking point, I'm not going to spend too much longer on this, but I think the game is getting a little repetitive. And one of the things is the map. So, we did recently get a map change when Frieza's released, right? I think it is good that they did that. I think the issue is that the tower radius, like the range, like the base of the towers, no need to adjust that whatsoever. Negative reason to. Another example of just a pointless change that had no reason to be included whatsoever into the game. But I think we gotta start doing stuff to keep the game fresh, new sub rules and all that not, because I'm gonna be honest right now, guys, like the game, I don't know, man. I don't know if anybody else is feeling this. The game, to me at least, it's feeling kind of uninteresting to me. Like, I can hop on and hit my S ranks and blah blah blah. There's not really too much of an incentive for me to keep playing the game, right? Like, Uh, once Goku Black gets added, maybe I'll change my mind. And uh, again, I think the biggest issue is just the patch notes, man. These patch notes are just getting worse and worse, and they're just adding more pointless stuff that had no reason to be there whatsoever. And it just to me, it comes across as we don't care what you guys are saying. We're gonna add whatever we want, and you're gonna like it. Is basically what it's coming off as. But the last point that I need to talk about, error code 0. Error code 0 has been a thing since the beginning of the game. For those of you who don't know who error code 0 is, if you guys for some reason don't know, error code 0, basically at the end of the match, or even back in Prime Error Code 0 mid-match, you would get booted out to the home screen, and the match would just end, right? You would get kicked out of the match, and in some cases, you would have to wait anywhere from like 10 to 15 minutes to even get back into the game. This is unacceptable. The fact that something like this has been in the game since launch, which was September, the fact that this has been allowed to stay in the game for this long is completely unacceptable. I have no idea what's causing it, but whatever it is, they need to fix it immediately, because error code 0 is something that makes players want to just get off the game. And that is not something you want as a game developer, right? But guys, that's pretty much it. That's all I have to really say. Those are my biggest issues with the game right now. Let me know what you guys think. Is there anything that you guys would add on to this? Anything you guys think maybe not an issue that I talked about, right? Let me know down in the comment section down below. Yeah. I really hope they turn this around, because I do like the game, right? I want the game to succeed, but the way it's going, we're gonna have to hope and pray for a miracle. But again, like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video, dude. Bye.